trends in aircraft carriers as Beijing uses its economic might to expand its territorial ambitions. High in the Himalayas, in disputed territory, China has been exerting its presence to deadly effect. 20 Indian soldiers were killed in hand-to-hand combat. The standoff between the two nuclear neighbors is just the latest move by an aggressive Beijing to use its growing economic might in territorial disputes, from Taiwan to its control over Hong Kong. But it's President Xi's reach across the South China Sea that we want to look at closely this week. To do that, its defense spending is inching higher and higher, from $143 billion in 2010 to $261 billion in 2019.
This is a photo of a shipyard in China. It shows 9 warships, a missile defense system, an aircraft carrier, and a hovercraft, all being built simultaneously in Shanghai. And this is just one of several shipyards churning out warships. All these ships are part of China's new navy, which started off as a coastal defense force protecting its shores, and has rapidly become a massive group of integrated fleets, capable of reaching further and further out as China becomes a global military power. But China insists it's not interested in using all this power to dominate the region. According to a recent government report, the Navy is only there to defend itself and its interests, and will never try to seek hegemony, expansion, or spheres of influence. So what does China's rapid naval expansion mean for its neighbors? Here's what China sees when it looks outside its borders.
It's one of the biggest military vessels Japan has commissioned. A menacing reminder of Vladimir Putin's military ambition. Chinese subs are a potential target.
The Indo-Pacific region is becoming increasingly volatile as China, India, the US, and others jockey for control. To stay on top, China has dredged islands in the South China Sea for new military bases, expanded its Marine Corps from 20,000 troops to 100,000, and introduced a whole host of new military technologies to its naval arsenal. As China's economy has grown, it has used its wealth to secure strategic locations for any future use by its navy. Money has been poured into ports across the Indian Ocean in order to secure access rights. And it's not just money, it's also about resources. China's large Coast Guard fleets are supplemented by maritime militias, posing as fishermen but answering directly to the military. They have harassed Vietnamese and Filipino fishing fleets in an effort to control resource-rich regions like the South China Sea. And some regional leaders have already accepted China's economic dominance.
When says I will fish, who can prevent him?
China's naval forces now operate on a 2-track path. On the one hand, its militias and Coast Guard are dominating vital regions, intimidating the vessels of other countries in order to establish control.
What we've seen in the last few years is when there's been disputes, there's been a constant reaching for diplomatic channels. It's a diplomatic game that China is playing and other countries are playing in the region.
On the other, the size and power of the Navy itself is stopping China's neighbors from pushing back against this low-level harassment.
China doesn't want to engage in a military strategy. It uses military power to enhance its influence across the region, but it's all part of the same package.
Even though the seas surrounding China are increasingly under its control, its navy hasn't slowed down. Instead, it has extended its reach, with China's navy running joint exercises further afield with Pakistan, Iran, South Africa, and Russia. All this has made China's neighbors increasingly fearful of the giant in their midst. In response to live-fire drills near Taiwan, the US recently rushed through a large arms sale for the Taiwanese government. And after China showed off its anti-ship and hypersonic missiles, Japan started beefing up its own missile defenses and navy. As China's military expands its influence, the potential for conflict is growing. Its neighbors are unable at the moment to go up against this rapidly expanding regional power. They're concerned for the future, quietly arming and forging their own alliances in an effort to protect themselves against the rise of a regional superpower.
Luke.
restrictions to stop coronavirus in Serbia. Police and the parliament building on the receiving end of frustrations. The protests began on Tuesday, sparked by a proposed weekend shutdown of Belgrade. People complained it threatened their jobs and businesses. The proposal was dropped. The protests have morphed into wider anger with President Aleksandar Vučić. The majority of protesters are peaceful. Scenes like this have spread across Serbia this week. Many blame government decisions to allow soccer games, religious celebrations, parties, and parliamentary elections for a second wave of infections. Serbia has recorded nearly 18,000 COVID-19 infections and 370 deaths. Friday saw the highest daily jump in 3 months, with 386 cases and 18 deaths. Belgrade's hospitals are almost full, the government blaming this week's protests for the spike in numbers as people defied a ban on mass gatherings. Serbia's president denies new restrictions were introduced to help him gain power. He's blaming the opposition for the demonstrations. Protests that started over coronavirus restrictions are now about the president's leadership as a whole. These people convinced it's not their health that's a concern, but the health of Serbia's democracy.
Okay, so I wanted to point this out, why it's talking about that and people trying to start war over it. In my county, Tennessee, and then Sullivan County, executive order mask mandate to go into effect. It goes into effect on the 12th at midnight. And if you read it, you'll see it. They have decided, I talked about this in my live, but for people that wanted to, you know, not have to listen to me on my live for that long and want to see what I'm talking about, I found a much better article, if I can get this thing to load. But it is a picture of the executive order going through, and you will be stopped, you will be mask. And for people like me and Logan, we do not have money to wear a mask, to buy one, nor would I even wear one. But they're making it where you have to if you even want to go in a business. So, in order to even go pee or to go in and get air conditioning for a few moments, it is becoming impossible. They are making everything so much worse now.
Hitting the northeast at this hour. The storm pounding the Jersey Shore today. Wind gusts topping 50 miles per hour. Flood watches from Delaware all the way up through Massachusetts tonight. The system pushing its way into upstate New York and New England this evening. Rip currents claiming the life of a swimmer. We have the track as we head into this evening and into tomorrow morning. Here's ABC's Adrian Banker from Long Beach, New York tonight.
Tonight, Tropical Storm Faye strikes the northeast, making landfall near Atlantic City, wind and rain flooding the Jersey Shore. Waterfalls in New York City subway stations.
Look at the fire hose of rainfall going into New York City, western Long Island, northern New Jersey, and the Hudson.
Okay, we had a massive storm. Like, you can even look outside it. Everything was wet. Me and Logan was walking in it. We were out in it. The storm was blowing trees over. People couldn't drive. The roads were blocked. The trees were really bending with the wind. And now it's starting to go up. And to go up or down, I don't know. And now there's this coming along as well. And this storm happened yesterday, I think, and it was extremely, extremely powerful. You couldn't see anything. Everything was white because it was raining so hard. We tried to run into somewhere, a business or a store, and when we did, the wind was blowing the rain into there with us. So, guys, it's time to start being careful. We're seeing the scorching heat. We're seeing the flooding. We're seeing the rain. It's time that people need to wake up and realize what's going on, especially with all of these wars, rumors of wars. The drones have been here. They are in our city right now. There's massive reports about that. I can update you on that as well. And I updated you on the mask wearing. It's mandatory here. And trust me, I'm in a little place that means nothing to nobody except the people that live here. and we don't even want to be here. So the fact that we're mandatory and mandated, it's about to be coming to everywhere, and military is going door to door, and they are making sure that everyone is being tested. Executive orders, guys. God bless you. Look up, not down. Have a blessed day.